Alright, hello everyone and welcome to AEW Discussion. I'm your host and AEW enthusiast, Doug. In today's episode, I'm going to be discussing Rampage, January 28, 2022 episode. Strong episode of Rampage here from an in-ring perspective. And with that, we'll just go ahead and get right into the action. Starting with Jon Moxley versus Anthony Bowens. And that pre-match rap from Caster might have been one of his best right there. They're usually always funny, and the insults are usually top-notch. And also, it might have been funny and insulting in the right way without being too controversial for the network executives. But let's be honest, when does AEW care about the network executives, or, enough to care about what's being said on TV? I think it's what makes the show so great. But anyway, as for the match, both competitors look fired up here for this match. For Bowens, definitely one of his biggest singles matches to date, and you could tell he was taking this seriously. Moxley also bringing some good energy and appears to be right back in his groove after his hiatus. The match was fun, and it was energetic. Between these two, and they didn't make any big mistakes and sold well for each other. Few minutes of the match were certainly the best. Closing out the match, and to continue with the tease of Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley, Danielson was revealed to be watching backstage, so it'll be interesting to see when AEW wants to bring that match. I don't know when their next big show is, per se, or if they just want to throw that on an episode of Dynamite. They haven't, they started it last week, they continued it this week, very subtle, not much to it, but at some point that match is going to happen. Brock Anderson and Lee Johnson versus FTR. Hey, this was certainly the best match Johnson and Anderson had together in AEW. Both men are still young, so seeing them perform well at this early stage in their careers means that they will be an asset in a few years' time. Or more so of an asset in a few years' time. This match also had a little bit of everything. Johnson hit some high-flying moves, while the other three men focused more on brawling and grappling. And the chemistry between these two teams was good. Anderson and Johnson should also continue to be a part of the tag team division going forward. They make for a good pairing. Jade Cargill versus Julia Hart. And this was a short match, but it was still a bit more competitive than some of the matches Cargill has had, especially before the recent tournament. The TBS champion has been competing in slightly longer matches in recent weeks. She still has room to grow, but has quickly proven that she is more than a two-move fighter. This match was exactly what it needed to be. Hart got in more offense than perhaps expected, but the outcome was still the same. Cargill is a star of an impressive win streak, and it's going to be fun when she starts having more competitive matches like when she faced Thunder Rosa and Ruby Soho. Nonetheless, though, nice to see Julia Hart back in television right there. That patch has a nice little look. And it does raise an interesting possibility. What if Julia Hart turns on the Varsity Blondes and becomes a member of the House of Black? I think, every good, right now it's just Malachi Black and Brody King. But Julia Hart, I think she could certainly fit into it. And, having that female character in the House of Black certainly adds a nice little dynamic segment to it. Other than that, I don't know who else on the roster, the women's division could fit in the House of Black. I mean, Selena Vega isn't available, so there is that. And it's not that the House of Black needs a female member, but the idea of adding one, certainly can, make for some, it can certainly add to the act. There we go. And then, AEW World Tag Team AEW Tag Title match, Jurassic Express versus Private Party, and this was a good main event with some fun high spots and double team combos. There might have been a little bit too much going on towards the end, but you can usually follow who was legal and who wasn't. AEW Tag Team matches tend to be a little chaotic, but so long as you can keep up with what's happening in the ring, that's usually pretty good. Hardy and the Blade getting involved is another example of AEW relying a little bit too much on outside interference, but it didn't affect the outcome, so it wasn't that bad. Strong week for Rampage in terms of in-ring competition, as I said at the start. All four matches enjoyable in their own way. And with that, I was trying to think if I had anything else to add. But I don't think so. We'll just go ahead and wrap up this episode of AEW Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like button down below.